So I'm gonna throw this right over here. Ready? Oh man. Let's do it.
But I want to respect first.
Yes.
On top of this tower. I'm just checking on my network. Couple of hours. You just only want to check first. Couple of hours. Let's not come for your neck first.
I feel like we'll keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I've always personally wanted to be able to torture test a rifle, but not many companies are actually willing to do it out in the open. So I reached out to the guys from Mitchell Defense. This is Nathan from Mitchell Defense. He has a whole new line of a bunch of really great rifles, and we wanted to kind of highlight what those rifles are, and then also maybe take the time today to really test them to their limits. So right now, you want to tell me a little bit about this rifle you have over here?
This rifle right here is the SOIDC dock. It has a carbon fiber barrel, anti-rotational tabs, a Geisley 2-stage trigger, radian charging, radian safety selector, billeted upper lower.
Solid rifle. So the plan would be today, this is without question considered to be more on the premium side of rifles you're able to get on the market. So this is going to be no question a really serious test. We have two different types of rifles. We have this one as well as this one right over here. This is the main one we're going to kind of just put through the gauntlet and see what we could do with it, and then we'll see how that performs. So I do want this review to be more about the rifle than about the optics that we use. So what we're going to do is we're going to function test 3 rounds per time that we actually test this. We're going to see how function if it goes, and if it does, awesome. So let's start it out. Now I'm actually a little bit more concerned. We're much higher up and the floor below us is all rock. So let's actually drop that and see what that looks like. Whew. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of push it a little bit more because I feel like everyone's like, oh, my rifle could drop too, and that's all really cool and stuff. We're gonna go to the top of the berm and throw it down from the berm and try to make it land around here so you guys could see it. We're going to be covering the barrel from this point forward because we do want to function test it and make sure that it is safe to fire. We obviously are not gonna have any rifle function correctly if there's stones, dirt, and debris down into the barrel. That could be super dangerous. So we're gonna keep it covered. We'll throw it from there. We'll make sure that it's all clear and ready to fire, and then we're gonna continue testing. I feel like I have an urge to scream, but I know there's a mic right over here, so I could whisper and you could still hear me correctly, right? So I'm gonna throw this right over here. Ready? Oh man. Oof. My heart sank a little bit. So we took off the tape, we made sure that the barrel was clear of any obstructions, there isn't any issues. I'm not seeing any significant damage or function change to the actual rifle itself, so we're gonna keep on going. So now I'm sure you guys are able to figure out where this is gonna go. We plugged the barrel again to make sure, again, there's no obstructions going into the barrel itself. We're using an Amend 2 magazine that we're just going to leave in the gun as well, just to make sure that it stays clear of any obstructions there. And also, I'm assuming most of you are gonna be carrying your rifle in that capacity. We're going to strap it to the back of the truck. We'll drive it around a bit and see how this goes. So I haven't been able to do that myself in person, so that was definitely pretty cool. The majority of the impact was happening on the rail. The reason why that's really cool is because since all that pressure and all that strain was happening on the rail itself, you could really see the benefits of having those anti-rotation tabs. Because right now, if I look at the front of the rail, I'm gonna do a close-up for you guys, you'll see that there is literally no rotation of the actual rail, which means if you have an optic on it, unless the optic is what got damaged during that whole ordeal, it was still functioning perfectly fine. The Amend 2 magazines actually functioned really cool, where ultimately the bottom of the magazine just popped off and then the spring came out. However, I'm going to fire the same magazine that was in there because I just put it back together in the most basic of formats. I'm gonna load and fire it to see if these also perform after going through the same thing the gun just went through. So we double checked the barrel to make sure there were no obstructions, so we should be good there. We're using the same magazine that was on the gun for when it was going. Cycled, let's see how this goes. Still running, let's go. Okay, so now, very basic test. We've all seen this one before. I'm just gonna pour some water down the barrel. Got some ice over there, that's good. Rack it a little few times. And now this is where I get sprayed and regret my decision. All good. So now that we have it a little bit wet, not that big of a test, I'm sure you guys seen that before. We have some more like fine range dirt that we were able to find. We're just gonna kind of sprinkle it all over the bolt carrier group. So now between all that should be a little bit more grimy. We're definitely in the bolt carrier group area. We're cycling it through. Definitely nicely coated. So now let's grab that and see how that functions. Fine dirt, chambered, let's do it. Clear. So I think we covered the majority of what things people might get ourselves into. The last thing I'm going to try, because I'm kind of out of ideas honestly, is we're gonna just make more of like a muddy texture to this. We don't have any sand here, that would probably be a cool thing to test, but that sand, that like mud we were using or the dust we were using was very, very light. So I would imagine that would perform pretty much the same. I'm just going to add some water to this. We'll mix it up to get a kind of like a muddy texture, and then we'll throw that in and see how that functions. Okay, so this is a very liquidy, syrupy dust, mud kind of situation. That's already grinding it up real nicely. Get it to function. Ah, no complaints there. Let's see how that goes. Okay, that should be fair. Let's load that and fire it. Whee! Okay, let's call it. So before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that these rifles are available for purchase. So any rifle from Mitchell Defense, whether you want a full-length 16-inch 9mm rifle, or if you want their SBRs, or the rifle that we're testing in this video that really shows that it lasted quite through a lot to be able to get to where it is, I highly recommend you check out mitchelldefense.com. I'm going to leave their website right over here. On top of that, there's a 10% discount you're able to use to be able to save on anything across the entire website. So again, highly recommend that if you want to jump on this, you're going to use the coupon code to be able to save you a bunch of money. These are premium rifles with really high quality parts, billet upper and lower receivers, anti-rotation tabs, and a bunch of other great features. So again, I highly recommend you check that out. Now, every rifle is going to have a failure point. These are mechanical items that at some point are able to fail depending on what you put them through. And it's always very cool to see how far you're able to push it to get to that point. Now, these rifles, again, in my opinion, lasted much longer than I anticipated. I've seen a lot of videos online, but I've never been able to do testing myself to really see the extent of what these rifles are capable of. So being able to see that it's able to be thrown off a car, thrown off a really high berm, and all those things are just really nuts to me. Now, the most common thing that I thought was going to be the failure point is going to be kind of light amount of dust, because those are kind of small particles that get into the nitty-gritty areas of where the mechanical items need to be functioning. Or what I didn't really anticipate is how much water I added to the actual mud that made it much more of like a liquid than it would be of kind of like a mushy kind of mud substance to be able to stick to the bolt carrier group. So even with that, it did function to a very small degree, but then when we turned on the camera and started filming, it wasn't able to function at all. It's very common that at that point, since there's so much grit in the bolt carrier group area, it's simply not able to move back and forth at all, which is what ended up causing the ultimate malfunction. So it still lasted through a lot, whether that be the basic drops that we did, through the car that we did, dragging it from the car, throwing it off the berm. It was, in my opinion, very impressive, and again, very cool to see that a rifle was able to go through that and function the way that it did. Even after all that, I was there with the owners of Mitchell Defense, and they looked at the rifle and they're trying to figure out what they could do better, that even next time with the capabilities that they have, see how could they make it even more reliable past that point. So it's very nice of them to be able to give me a rifle and just say, do whatever you want, see what happens, because they wanted to see also how far we're able to push it till the point of failure. So again, huge thank you to them for letting me do that to their rifles. If you have any more questions, or if you want to see more about Mitchell Defense, I'm going to leave their website over here, as well as a coupon code you're able to use throughout the entire website to help you guys save some money. This is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com. Thank you for watching.